This is going to be a series of battles, and I'm going to show you 3 battles. The first 2 battles are against Panda Warrior, where I first play as Cimmeria. He picked Massilia, I had Cimmeria. And then something happened, so we changed the factions for the next battle. So we played a mirror match. And the build I brought was a mix of Cimmeria Noble Infantry and Scythian Hoplites. I believe I have 4 Scythian Hoplites and 5 Scythian Hoplites and 3 Cimmeria Noble Hoplites. Then I have 3 Step Spears, 3 Step Lancers, 3 Cimmeria Heavy Archers, 3 Noble Horse Archers, and that's it. Panda Warrior brought 2 Tarentine Cavalry, 4 Massilian Cavalry, 2 Hippeus. He brought some Axe Warriors, Massilian Thureos, Celtic Warriors, Massilian Hoplites, and more Massilian Hoplites. So I think Panda Warrior's thinking in this battle was that he wanted to have enough cavalry, because Cimmeria has really crappy cavalry other than their horse archers. So he wanted to secure the cavalry advantage. That's why he didn't bring many skirmishers, and Massilia's skirmishers aren't particularly good either, so that, I'm sure that factored in. I'm just going to start skirmishing here, but I'm going to be careful because these guys are heavy missile cavalry, these guys are light melee cavalry, so that means that the melee cavalry is possibly going to be able to catch my noble horse archers, especially when they slow down due to having run around a lot. So I'm just going to move up my guys. I want to get in skirmishing range quickly, and the plan is to just use these cavalry units defensively to try and stop any enemy cavalry that tries to sneak around my flanks. And then I'm going to try to send in the Step Spears. So I don't really know how this is going to work, because I have used Cimmeria quite a lot to get familiar with the faction. I like it very much. It somewhat suffers from its lack of good cavalry, but it makes up for it with excellent skirmishers and good horse archers. So Tarentines, getting some shots in on those. They are starting to drop finally, using heavy shot on one of the units and standard shot on the other. And Panda is matching my lines here, going in with his line. This is quite uncharacteristic of Panda, so I think something's up here. So maybe it's he just wants to push back my skirmishers and then start kiting a bit to pull my infantry away from my archers. And sure enough, when I move in, he's going to start moving his units away, and this is going to widen the gap between my skirmishers and my infantry. So now his cavalry is going to be free to get at my infantry units. No, sorry, my skirmishing units. But I did manage to stop a few of them. It's not going to be enough because he has more cavalry than I have. And I stopped this Hippeus with my Step Spears, and the Hippeus was the most important to stop because these guys are only light and this is very heavy shock. So it's fine if his Massilian cavalry makes it into my Cimmeria heavy archers. Here there are some weird engagements going on, because I gave attack orders and then his units turned. Some of the units are doing really weird stuff, and they're not going to do as well as they should have done in that case. Especially I think there's one unit of nobles here that is, at some point when I activate phalanx, look at this. Or is it this unit? One of the units is going to do a 360 and then just stand there with their backs turned to the enemy for the entire fight. Let's see which unit it was. It's not this unit, it's not this unit. It's this unit! This unit turned its back and is going to stand there for the entire fight, so potentially quite devastating. So while I've been trying to find that glitch, I'm actually able to hold off his Massilian cavalry with only these archer units and some supporting fire from horse archers, firing at the Massilian cavalry over here. So the Massilian cavalry is a bit underwhelming, especially against units like this, against Cimmeria heavy archers that both have armor and have decent two-handed spears. You can see their kills are increasing here, and Massilian cavalry charging in, getting a few nice kills there on the charge. but it's not enough to just destroy these units very quickly. It's going to reduce their effectiveness for sure. Here I'm chasing away Theraeus with my Cimmeria Noble Infantry, and this is kind of a sunken cost fallacy, because if I turn around, I'm going to get shot in the rear. If I keep chasing them, I am going to make one of my more important infantry units stay out of the battle. So he's just about just managing to pull away from my my guys there, and they're not going to be able to catch them. So my horse archers are killing off his cavalry. His cavalry is killing off my skirmishers, but they aren't able to finish the job decisively. So I'm able to use my remaining step lancers to go for rear charges on his Celtic warriors, and this is going to be pretty important. The Celtic warriors, he's withdrawing them to try to get some javelins in, presumably, but they broke in the process. And these guys are holding with their backs turned, so pretty stupid stuff there. Still getting a good charge in with my step lancers again. So the step lancers can be very deadly if they are kept away from enemy cavalry, skirmishers and spears. If they can just go for rear charges, they can be very useful. Here I am getting rear charged and going to get a lot of kills on this unit of Massilian cavalry. It just annoys me so much when this happens, because this happens quite a lot. I need to pay closer attention to what my guys are doing when they are engaged in melee, because this is mistakes like this. 1,000 denarii units just standing with this back turned can basically cost you the game if that happens. And I've had it happen to several units in the course of a single battle, where it happens to my entire sword line, and then I just lose the battle and I have no idea why. Then I check the replay, and it was because one of the units stood, or the units stood with their backs turned to the enemy the entire time. So Panda is killing off a lot of my units, but I still have my most important units left alive here, so I'm just going to withdraw for a while, kill off his last remaining cavalry, and when his cavalry is dead, it's going to be safe for me to turn around my Cimmeria Noble Infantry and try to create a blob for my Noble Horse Archers to go for rear charges in. So I'm getting a decent charge there against these guys. Finally they're getting some kills with these Cimmeria Noble Infantry. Pouring in with the Scythian Hoplites as well. By no means it doesn't look decided yet. Massilian Theraeus firing at my Cimmeria heavy archers, and it's going to do a lot of damage to them, but them being in a formation like this is going to open them up for charges. So I'm going to charge in, but then I'm going to withdraw again, because he's forming into square. I don't want my horse archers to get caught into this square, so I'm going to withdraw and try to shoot it to death instead. My Cimmeria nobles, if they had done this from the start, this battle would have been a lot shorter, but these guys over here are continuing their chase of the Massilian Theraeus. They are very tired. These guys are really tired. They will never be able to catch them. These guys are medium. These guys are very heavy. So no way in hell if they are going to catch them. But I can't, like I said, I can't really turn around, because then I'm going to get shot to death in the back by the Theraeus. So a lot of routing going on here. Both his axe warriors, his Massilian Hoplites, his my Scythian Hoplites stabilized. I'm going to pour in with my step spears, and the step spears have gotten some kills, not a huge amount, but now it's just going to be rear charging all over the battlefield with my noble horse archers. They are actually pretty decent. They don't have the best charge bonus, they are heavy missile cavalry, but they have a pretty decent melee attack and decent weapon damage for being horse archers. So getting a nice rear charge on his Celtic warriors here. Rear charge on his Massilian Theraeus, and this is going to break these units pretty quickly. It's very difficult when you have these depleted units to defend against charging cavalry, even if they're only noble horse archers, because you're going to have to deal with the infantry, and while you're dealing with the infantry, the cavalry is just going to rear charge any remaining units into oblivion. So I'll just fast forward this for a while, because there's basically just more of the same. Just me charging, cycle charging all of his units, and the only way I can really lose this is if I charge in and I don't disengage with my archers, with my horse archers. So the Massilian Theraeus getting some really nice kills there. They are pretty good units, but they won't be able to stand up to a charge of this magnitude. although they are forming square, which is going to increase their morale a bit and make them more difficult to hit. And here we go. Even heavy horse archers can do a lot of damage on the charge against unbraced infantry. So you see them dropping fairly quickly, and here the Cimmeria noble infantry finally coming in to finish the job here. And that's going to be it for these Massilian Thereo spears. This unit is going to die, and now me and Panda decide to do faction switch. So I'm going to be using, I hope this is the right one. So yeah, I'm going to be using Massilia, and he's going to be using Cimmeria. Now, we figured that Cimmeria is going to be a very tall order for Massilia to deal with, because Massilia doesn't have really good cavalry to deal with the threat that Cimmeria can bring, because the best cavalry, the Hippeus Lancers, don't have shields. So the Hippeus Lancers are going to really struggle against these armored horse archers. They're going to get shot to death. And then we have the problem of all of these good skirmishers, because Massilia doesn't really have good skirmishers. They have decent skirmishers in the form of their expensive galley counters. They have decent skirmishers in the form of Celtic slingers, but compared to the heavy archers and the steppe archers of Cimmeria, they can't really do much. So Panda deployed well back here. He presumably wants to give his horse archers a lot of time to shoot at my units, which of course is a good idea. So we'll have an extended skirmishing phase here, where we'll each try to inflict some damage on each other, but it's going to be much easier for Panda, because his skirmishers are mobile. So getting a bit close here, probably. He's using, as you can see, he's using heavy shot, which is a good idea when you're shooting at heavily armored infantry. It's going to increase damage on horse archers that have 35 damage up to 40, and it's going to double the armor piercing value of the shot. So it's going to be very useful when shooting at heavily armored infantry. But you have to get a bit closer, which you can with these guys, because they have some armor on their own. So I'm just going to try to push them away a bit with my Massilian Thereos, throw some javelins, get them in range. Here we go, volley incoming, straight in the face, but because of the armor, these guys didn't really take many casualties. If these were your basic Scythian horse archers, these guys would be dropping like flies, but the armor on these guys and the increased health is going to help them a bit. So I'm just moving methodically forward. I'm not running, I'm moving slowly, because I want to have the... Although that is going to give Panda more time to skirmish me to death, it's also going to mean that my men are going to make it to his lines and be more fresh. So he's kind of done the same thing I did, but spread out more. So this is more of a skirmish setup. He has Cimmeria nobles and Scythian hoplites spread here. Then he has steppe spears in the middle and Scythian hoplites in the rear. So even if I was able to break through here, and I will be able to break through with the cavalry unit, he can still rush in with his spears, and he can still rush in with his cavalry and stop it. So a wide open box like this, with skirmishers in the center, or it's not really a box, but a wide open formation like this, can be pretty effective against rush builds, because you have the opportunity to kite in every which direction you choose. So having established that Massilia can't compete in the cavalry department, and that Massilia can't really compete in the skirmishing department, that leaves one department where Massilia is stronger than Cimmeria, and that is of course in infantry. Massilia has a really nice selection of melee infantry. They have thorax swords, they have Massilian hoplites, they have axe warriors, they have these really nice Massilian Thereos that have a beastly charge bonus. So the strength of Massilia is going to be their infantry, and in order to beat Cimmeria, I really believe that they basically have to counter the skirmishing and the cavalry of Cimmeria with just a crap ton of infantry. Because forget about countering the cavalry, it's going to be horse archers, they're going to kite you to death. Forget about counting the skirmishers, they can bring armored Cimmerian heavy archers with high missile damage. But you can counter the infantry, you can counter the hoplites with axes and swords, so that's what you're going to do. If you're able to defeat the infantry and you're able to defeat the skirmishers, then it's going to be pretty easy to to withstand the armored horse archers, because there are rarely going to be more than 4 of them, because most tournaments and most rules limit horse archers to 3 or 4, because horse archer spam is just, imagine playing against 10 horse archers, for example. It's just going to be a nightmare. So those units are limited. But if you're able to do that, and the problem is that he's going to be able to kite forever, like Panda Warrior did here. He's going to be able to deploy back and then just kite forever with his horse archers and with his skirmishers. But I'm going to take the fire here because I really want to absorb as much fire as possible from these guys on this one unit, because it will have its shields and it's already a bit depleted, so getting a few shots off here, killing a few horse archers, that's a trade-off that I'm willing to make. It's not the best sacrificial unit because it's fairly expensive and it's very useful. Now it's not going to be able to charge and support the infantry fight, so that's pretty bad, but it is going to eat a significant amount of missiles. Still, some militia hoplites would be much better for this use. Even levy freemen would be much better. But I quite like how they are eating the missiles and keeping on. Here I'm popping square, but there aren't enough men there to form the square. Still, this is going to put the horse archers into range of my skirmishers. My citizen cavalry has almost been skirmished to death by these armored horse archers. I'm going to just chase after them to give myself some breathing space here, and already his horse archers have done a lot of damage to me. These Celtic slingers, I got a few kills on them, nothing great, but I stopped firing at the Massilian Tereos, which was a good idea. No need in wasting ammo on them. But I kind of wanted to do the same here. I wanted him to waste ammo and possibly do friendly fire to these units here. But it looks like he doesn't have fire at will turned on, and he isn't going to fire. So I am going to be able to kill some of these horse archers, but the citizen cavalry is going to lose as well. So I charged my depleted Massilian Tereos into his step spears. It's going to kill some of them, but this unit is gone anyway. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to try the tactic of keeping my cavalry behind my infantry. Citizen cavalry is not the best cavalry to do this with, because they are only medium melee cavalry that don't have the best charge, but I'm going to try something. I'm going to keep them behind here, and just before my thorax make contact, I'm going to try to charge through his Cimmeria noble infantry, because if he countercharges me, and I think he will, then I will be able to punch through and get at his step archers. So let's see if it works here. Charging in, he's going to use these guys to bait the charge, and then I'm going to go through the first line, but I could have gone through the second line, but not quite, not entirely, and I didn't make it in. So if this was very heavy shock cavalry, they could have punched through, but now I'm just going to bunch up. I did manage to take out his step spearmen, but they are crappy units anyway. So here you are going to see the devastating effects of the Cimmeria skirmishing against my infantry units. His Cimmeria nobles are also going to do fairly well here up against my Massilian hoplites and my thorax swords. So I'm trying to layer units together that can defeat these units as quickly as possible, but it's not really going as quickly as I hoped it would, and especially because I'm getting shot to death from every direction. I'm trying to push through here, but I'm getting stopped just at the edges here. And then he has these several lines of Syrian hoplites. So although I'm able to make it through with a few guys, it's not really enough. It's going to be able to destroy these step archers because they are terrible units, but it's not really going to be enough to stop his skirmishing power, because now he has armored horse archers in the rear, being able to stop any single cavalry unit that makes the way through. And now I have another problem. I have cavalry coming in towards my skirmishers, so my skirmishers are still alive. I'm going to focus fire on his citizen cavalry, but I'm going to find it hard to stop his citizen cavalry, and these infantry engagements are not good for me, not good at all. He's holding very well with his hoplites. I'm trying to charge through here again against the Syrian hoplites, but that's of course a mistake. I forget my citizen cavalry here, it doesn't really do anything. And now that I charge in here with my citizen cavalry and charge my Massilian Tereos in here, I'm not going to be able to stop these two units, so I should have kept my cavalry in reserve or charged in and went back, because now my skirmishers don't have support. I wasted my cavalry, and now his cavalry can take out my skirmishers. That could have been very important in the late game, but still he had so much cavalry left that I don't think there would be any way I would be able to, pretty well synchronized here by Panda. I don't think there would be any way that I could really save my skirmishers in this type of scenario. Too many enemy cavalry units on the field. And here you can see the Cimmeria noble infantry are holding well against pretty much half my infantry force. They're getting some help from these Scythian hoplites, but I'm not really being able to break through here as fast as I would like to. And that is of course going to... He's not firing here, to presumably so he doesn't want to cause friendly fire. But at this point, it's not. Now he's starting to fire when his units broke, and let's just see what happens to my thorax swords when they're under this amount of fire. Yeah, they are dropping fairly quickly. Both of these units are dropping extremely quickly, and he has very smartly blocked my approach here. Now he's going to go for rear charges. This one unit of Cimmeria noble infantry managed to hold off all of these, and together with these Scythian hoplites they managed to hold off a lot of infantry. It's now going to open them up for rear charges. He's barely lost any skirmishers, and these guys are just going to continue to pour the fire in, absolutely destroy my infantry units. The axe warriors are gone, and now these guys are free to just do whatever they want, so very smart keeping these guys in reserve. So this type of layered defense can be very effective against rushes, especially rushes that don't have very good cavalry. If I had Hippeus, he might have needed to do something different here, but against a rush, the type of rush that I brought here with a lot of infantry, a layered approach like this is going to be very, very effective. So I'm going to have to see how many friendly fire casualties he did in this instance, because I think he did a lot of friendly fire casualties, but still, you can see how this battle is going. I'm not spoiling anything by saying that this battle went to Panda. His general is still alive in the center here, not getting a huge amount of kills, but extremely tanky. 78 melee defense when hoplite wall is activated. I'm finally able to break through with my Massilian hoplites. But as you can see, the Massilian hoplites are a bit inferior to his Cimmeria nobles. So I tried to run through here, but because of these really annoying formations of Scythian hoplites, I'm getting stopped just at the edges. Charging in with my Massilian hoplites, but focus fire is going to destroy these guys in chrono time. It's just amazing how quickly. Look at this. That's my general. He just disintegrated under the fire of these skirmishers. So while it looked good there for a moment, I wasn't able to break through the hoplites in time, and that is the thing that makes Cimmeria so deadly, is that you might think that you will be able to defeat the hoplites, and you will be able to defeat the hoplites, but the problem is that while you're defeating the hoplites, you're going to get shot at from every single possible angle by all of those very good skirmishers. So that's going to be pretty difficult to deal with. Now, I did try to go to the other extreme, because I thought, okay, so Massilia can't really compete with cavalry. There are too many spears on the field, there are too many horse archers on the field. Massilia can't really compete in the skirmishing category, so what are you going to do? Well, infantry spam should work. So this is not against Panda Warrior, because Panda Warrior had to go. This is against Optimus Prime. He's a guy I met in quick battles. So I figured, okay, I can defeat him in infantry if I have enough infantry, and there just isn't enough arrows and javelins for him to be able to kill all of my guys. So you can see how long this battle lasts. I have the advantage of terrain in this instance, it needs to be said. It's pretty much the perfect map for me to be able to rush on. But just compare the two battles that you previously saw on the Nemetusena with this battle. Now ideally this battle should have been on the Nemetusena as well, and they should have been against Panda Warrior, but what can you do? You can't always do things in an ideal way. So the build I brought here is just straight up infantry spam. I have 5 Celtic warriors, I have 1 hoplite, I have 6 Massilian Thureos, I have 6 thorax swords, and I'm just going to click the flags and hope they start blinking. That's the plan here. I'm not going to give him any time to skirmish. If he wants to kite here, that's fine. He's going to run out of map to kite on at some point. So while he's moving, I don't know if he wasn't expecting this or what, but while he's moving, I'm just going to pour my Celtic Warriors in. And I think this is pretty cool, although infantry spamming isn't the most interesting thing to watch. If we just look at this from a cinematic point of view, here we have the crazy Celts running downhill, here we have the more disciplined thorax swords waiting to charge in, and crashing into the hoplites here, or these Celtic Warriors. So the Celtic Warriors are going to get, look at this, they're going to get a massive amount of charge, of kills, sorry, because of their massive charge bonus, and they're doing fairly well, and this is denying these skirmishers the room they need to work effectively. And here come the second line of infantry, the thorax swords, and now the hoplites are in pretty dire straits. He's even going to charge in with his noble horse archers against my Thoreos, because he doesn't want to stand and take the heat that they're going to bring. So square formation, I should be able to deal with them fairly effectively by using square formation. Some weird shadows going on here. And this is pretty much a direct counter to what I saw happen in the previous battles. The infantry did well for Massilia. The cavalry is not going to do well. It's too weak, it has too little armor, it's going to get skirmished to death. So what I needed tools to break through the hoplites quickly, and I needed to have the manpower and the shields to deflect incoming missiles. So in this instance, he has some step archers, Cimmerian heavy archers, he has some picked peltasts, and he has a lot of hoplites as well, some horse archers. But there's just too much infantry. He could have done this if he had just kited forever with his army. If he had refused to meet me and if he just kited away, he could have done a lot of damage with his horse archers, but I would just have kept on walking in his direction until he ran out of missiles, basically. And that's a decisive victory. He conceded defeat. So I mainly took casualties on these Celtic Warriors. They got some nice kills here. But as you can see, Massilia is not a really good faction to use against Cimmeria, because Cimmeria is going to kite all day away from your infantry. If this battle was against Panda Warrior, I think it would have looked like something like me pushing my infantry units forward and him just kiting away in every possible direction. So Massilia, not the best counter to Cimmeria. It's going to struggle a lot if you are two fairly equally matched players. And keep in mind that me and Panda Warrior are not equally skilled. Panda Warrior is a much better player than I am. It's very rare that I'm able to win against him, and if I'm able to win against him, it usually has something to do with the faction picks and the builds, because I'm very rarely able to outplay Panda Warrior. But it just goes to show that a bad matchup, a bad faction in the hands of a good player. Some would say Panda Warrior is the best Total War Rome 2 player there is. A bad faction and an ineffective build in the hands of the best player, or one of the best players, can still be rendered pretty ineffective against an average player that has a good faction to counter the other faction, and that has able to counter the other faction well, because you can only make up so much of the lack of strength in your army by the way you use your army. So for example, if you have a very strong infantry corps, but it's never going to be able to catch the lighter skirmishers and the horse archers of your enemy, then there's only so much you can do. You can stand and take it, you can try to face the direction of your attacks and so on, but you're not really going to be able to do much offensively. So hopefully you found this pretty interesting. I did. I always learn a lot from the battles with Panda Warrior. And Cimmeria is a very strong faction. They don't have the best cavalry, but they more than make up for that with their cheap, cost-effective hoplites and their pretty decent skirmishers. But as you can see, under an assault by determined melee infantry, even the hoplite corps is going to disintegrate pretty quickly, and that is going to deny Cimmeria one of the most important things Cimmeria needs, and Cimmeria needs space and time to be able to be effective. So that's it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again on the battlefield.